I started to see this shadow in other spiritual teachers. And it made me realize that this is a shadow, this specialness shadow is rampant in our spiritual community. Let me tell you, the only reason why I can speak on this so openly with sure-footedness is because I saw all of these traits within myself. When I was first starting my journey as a spiritual teacher, as a spiritual leader, I would definitely embody this issue. When I was a kid, I used to feel like I didn't fit in. I don't know if you can identify with that. If you can, give this video a like. I'm Ciara Rubin, best-selling spiritual author, singer, and lifelong psychic empath. And I always felt like I never fit in as a kid. Like nobody really understood me. Like the good things about me were threatening to other people. And so when I awakened to my spirituality and discovered that the reason why I didn't fit in was because I was here to create a new world. I felt like I didn't fit into the world, so I was here to create a new one. And that really resonated with me. And it might resonate with you. And it is true. And there is a shadow that underlies that. There is this sense of specialness, this sense of wanting to be the most psychic or the most spiritual or the most sought after when it comes to spiritual work. And this comes from that underlying feeling of not fitting in and feeling like you are not worthy of people's love, respect, and attention. So when I first started to recognize that I had profound spiritual gifts, abilities really, profound spiritual abilities, prowess, a very strong and clear connection to spirit and any ascended master, any galactic consciousness that I wanted to connect to. Ooh, baby, was it an ego trip. It was a high like nothing else. I remember back in the days of Periscope. Does anybody remember the live streaming app Periscope? Put it in the comments if you were a Periscope babe. I would go on there every single day and do a live broadcast, either doing readings, and then eventually I started verbally channeling. That is when you sometimes close your eyes, sometimes keep them open, but basically you are channeling an energy that is outside of you or beyond you, like maybe Abraham Hicks, or, and I'm not specifically calling out Abraham Hicks in this video, I want to make that clear. Abraham Hicks or Bashar or any of the other people who consider themselves to be channelers, you are channeling an energy that is outside of your own energy, that comes from somewhere else, that is higher evolved or high vibrational or eighth dimensional or the 7 or 6 dimensional energies. And so I started to do this and I was very good at it and am very good at it. But the response that I got was so addictive. People started to feel like they needed to tune in to get the information that I had. People started to say that, oh, you must have access to special information, and I really want that information. And while part of me in the back of my mind knew, like, no, that's not really true. You and everyone has access to everything in the Akashic Records, everything in the spirit world, in the universe, in the Godhead itself, because we are all aspects of that Godhead. We are all aspects of source energy. Even though I knew that, it still felt really good to know that other people were acknowledging me, were respecting me, and were seeking me out in order to hear what I had to say. And as I started to recognize this within myself, as I started to recognize this feeling of adoration and these feelings of being, I don't want to say worshipped, but I could see how down the line, if I had continued that type of behavior and allowed that type of adoration, how it could become that way. And so when I started to see that within myself, I then started to see it within many other spiritual teachers in the spiritual communities. People who call themselves gurus, people who are very prominent in the spiritual industry, in the spiritual self-help world, that have this sense of importance, that their abilities are unique, their abilities came to them in childhood. They have special access to certain species or certain ascended masters or collectives or dimensions. I started to see this shadow in other spiritual teachers, and it made me realize that this is a shadow. This specialness shadow is rampant in our spiritual community. And I am not here to name names or to call out specific spiritual teachers, but I want to give you a few indications, a few signs that you can use so that you can tell if your spiritual teacher or one of the spiritual teachers that you are following needs to be exposed. Now, first I want to say that, first of all, subscribe to my channel if you find this interesting, and like this video if you want to know the 3 tips that I'm going to give you. But first you need to understand that most spiritual teachers that are doing this are not doing it on purpose. They are not doing it on purpose. They are not drumming their knuckles and fingers together maniacally in their high-backed chairs and saying to themselves like, oh my goodness, I'm really getting one over on people. They think I'm so special. I can never tell them that they all have access to the same abilities and skills and entities that I do. No, they're not doing any of that. Usually this type of behavior is unconscious. Usually they are just not fully healing, not fully doing their shadow work, not taking a look at this special shadow or this desire that they have that they are not aware of to be the most special, to be the most psychic, to be the most spiritually skilled. Because back in the day, a long time ago, when witches were still being burned at the stake, you needed to be the most spiritual, the most psychic, the most skilled, and perform true miracles and true psychic ability feats in order to be taken seriously enough that you would not be ratted out, that you would not be turned in if people were to go looking for you. You needed to be seen as such a spiritual authority that people would keep your existence a secret. People would keep what you're doing under wraps so that you wouldn't be burned at the stake, so that you wouldn't be found out and discredited and your career ripped to shreds and your life ripped apart. That was needed back in those times. And we're not in those times anymore. We don't need those things anymore. We don't need to come across as the most special. We're not going to get burned at the stake anymore, thank goodness. You might get canceled, but honestly, if the canceled people go after you, that tells me that you're telling some truths that they're very uncomfortable with. So if you get any inklings of people trying to cancel you, I think that's a good thing. But we don't need to be the most spiritually skilled anymore. We need to open those gates, no longer be gatekeepers. Open the gates of knowledge, open the gates of understanding, and open the gate of empowerment. No longer sitting above the people that we are here to teach and lead, but teaching them how to lead themselves by the way that we lead ourselves, okay? So here are 3 signs. Here are 3 ways to know if a spiritual teacher that you follow is out of balance or having this special shadow without being aware of it. So sign number 1 is going to be that they will claim to have special abilities. They will say that their abilities came to them in childhood, and in childhood they were performing miracles. They will say that these abilities came to them through an activation that only they have ever received. They will be very attached to the way in which their abilities were turned on or expanded. So that is a really big indicator right there. Another indicator is that they will claim to be able to heal you, empower you, activate you, or D, all of the above. Now, there are many, many people out there, both in the spiritual self-help industry, the personal development industry, that use terms like I empower women. Empowered women empower women. And that is actually not true. It is not possible to empower someone else. Only you can empower yourself. And the people who are out there claiming that they can empower you or that you can empower them, that is out of balance. And that is coming from a place of specialness shadow, of thinking that you have the power to empower someone else. If you believe that you can empower someone else, that means that that person will always be dependent on you for that empowerment. And that's what you would want, right? Because sign number 3 is that the energy gets a little vampiric. But really quickly, let's go back to that empowerment, okay? Many people say that. And many people have struggled with feeling left out, or feeling like they weren't special, or feeling like they weren't worthy of having their needs met. And it's a phrase that gets thrown around a lot in girl boss culture. I empower women. I empower women to blah, blah, blah. If you claim that, then that means that there is a part of you that believes that someone else needs to empower you. And maybe that is triggering for you. And that's okay. That's okay. The cognitive dissonance can sit. You can sit with that for a minute and say, has anyone else truly empowered me? Or have I always ultimately been the one to empower myself? Maybe there was someone else who facilitated you rising. Maybe they held space for you. Maybe they helped you reach a clarity that you were struggling with. But ultimately, you took that clarity and used it to fuel your rising. You empowered yourself. You are the only one who can empower yourself. Yeah, Ciara, but I want other people to empower me. I want other people to tell me what to do. That's totally fine at some points on your journey and early on in your journey, absolutely. And you will never reach your full potential until you embrace the empowerment of yourself. Empowering yourself and knowing that that flame, that empowerment, that energy, that confidence comes from within you, and seeing it embodied by other people is simply evidence of what is possible for you, not something that you need to go at them and get. Now, I am all here for you paying and investing in yourself by investing in the teachings of other spiritual teachers. Yes, you are the one investing in yourself. You are the one taking those teachings and actually doing something with them, right? So that's sign number 2, if they claim to be able to empower you. And sign number 3, as I was mentioning, is that the energy gets a little vampiric. This takes a little bit more of a close look to really get a sense of what's going on. But if you take a look at certain spiritual teachers and the community that they have around them, get a sense if that spiritual teacher is actually embodying the work they teach, both in front of and behind closed doors. Are they actually embodying their teachings? And sometimes it takes weeks, months, or even years of paying attention to a spiritual teacher to notice these things. Do they tell their students to do their shadow work, but are they doing their own shadow work? Are they taking a look at their desire for celebrity? Are they taking a look at the motivation behind their desire for wealth, celebrity, and power? Are they taking a look and being honest with themselves and allowing themselves to question these concepts that I'm sharing with you right now about the need to be the most special, the most spiritual, the most authoritative on spiritual topics? Are they willing to allow you to question them? Can you question the guidance that they give and they don't get triggered by that and they open up the conversation? Are they willing to say, I don't know? That's very important. Because when that begins to happen, if a spiritual teacher begins to not want their students to question them too deeply, especially about their own life, when the spiritual teacher, because the spiritual teacher used the example of their life to get where they are right now, to get the kind of community and following that they had, right? They used the example of the success and the inner peace and all of the things that they're experiencing in their own life. So if they get to a point where they don't want you to question what they're doing in their life, red flag. If they're not embodying their teachings and they're not doing their shadow work, but they still have people that are following them and giving them adoration, pay attention to that. Pay attention to how fervently their community adores them. Does it seem like it's beyond admiration? Is it getting into worship territory? Is it getting into a place where even the students don't want to question the teacher? Where if you try to question the teacher, one of their students will lash out at you for that. These are the 3 signs to take a look at. If you found this video to be compelling, make sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel. Definitely check out the Intuition Identity Quiz, because this quiz is going to help you get in touch with those senses so that you will have the ability to see through any spiritual teacher that you encounter. Okay, it just takes a few minutes. You take the quiz, you put in your email address, and you'll get a guide that will help you with the best way to learn the language of your intuition for free. Link in the description below for that little goodie. I'm so excited to share it with you. And if you're an empath, check out these 2 videos right here and subscribe to my channel. I love you today and every day, and I'll talk to you soon, girl.